Everyone loves a good mystery, but when these can't just be cracked, they leave you feeling less thrilled and more uneasy. Here are some of the most bizarre mysteries that remain unsolved to this day. Number 1, the Zodiac Killer. Most criminals are usually scared after committing crimes and run into hiding, but Zodiac, as he called himself, was nothing like the average criminal. He went on a killing spree in San Francisco between 1968 to 1969. All the while taunting the police and members of the state with coded letters written on local papers. During this time, at least 5 killings were directly linked to him, but he claimed to have killed over 37 people. His murder spree started with Betty Lou Jensen, who was 16, and David Arthur Faraday, who was 17. They were both found lying dead outside of their bullet-rendered car. Jensen was found dead at the scene with 5 gunshot wounds to their back, while Faraday died of a bullet wound to the head on the way to the hospital. Half a year later, a couple, who parked their car about 4 miles from that spot, was also gunned down. One was severely injured and the other was killed. The survivor, Michael McGough, was eventually able to give a description of the attempted murder. He described him as a heavy-set white man who was about 5'8". The Zodiac Killer himself later called the police and confessed to a double murder, and also confessed to the previous killing as well. A month after this incident, newspapers received the first letter from the Zodiac Killer, and he demanded they publish the letter on the front page or he will go on a killing spree. All the letters he sent had details about his killing and contained a characteristic cross-circle symbol. The Zodiac Killer kept killing and leaving evidence behind for the police, sending out bloodstained shirts and giving them anonymous phone calls, but the police never caught him. Number 2. The Calico case. On September 20th, 1988, in Belen, New Mexico, it seemed like the perfect day to go out for a ride, so Calico borrowed her mother's pink bike and took it out for a ride. She was a very active person who was working as a bank teller at that time. She wanted to play tennis that afternoon, so she told her mother to drive out after her in case she got a flat and couldn't make it home by noon, except she never did return. Every lead eventually got to a dead end until about a year later when a photo was found showing a young woman who was about her age and a missing boy, both gagged. The photograph was found in the parking lot of Junior Food Store in Florida. The 9-year-old in the photo, Michael Hensley, went missing around the same area as Calico around April of 1988, when he was with his father hunting turkeys. They both looked to be in the back of a van with a copy of a book written by V.C. Adams, who was Calico's favorite author, lying beside the girl. When Calico's mother saw the photo, she didn't think the girl was her, but the girl in the photograph had a scar identical to the one Calico also had. In 1990, Michael Hensley's body was found in the Zuni Mountains, where he was hunting for turkeys. This discovery abolished the theory that both of them were kidnapped and taken off to another state. Calico's parents eventually passed on, never finding out who took their daughter away from them. Number 3, the boy in the box. In 1957 in Philadelphia, a hunter found a JCPenney box which contained the bruised body of a little boy. The boy looked to be about 4 to 6 years old and was nude and wrapped in flannel. He looked to have died from multiple blows to his head. For fear of the police confiscating his muscat chaps, the hunter did not report the body. 2 days later, a college student found the body and reported it, giving birth to the case of America's unknown child. Reports released by the police triggered the putting up flyers of the boy across Pennsylvania. The police received thousands of leads of the boy, but they were never able to uncover the identity of the boy. They tried checking the boy's fingerprints, and eventually they got 2 promising leads, with one leading to a foster home located 1.5 miles away from where the body was discovered. A medical examiner who actively pursued the case had a psychic lead him down to the foster home. He found a bassinet similar to the one that the box was used to sell. He also saw some blankets hanging on the clothesline which were very similar to the one wrapped around the boy. He theorized that the boy belonged to the stepdaughter of the man who ran the foster home, and she tried to get rid of the boy so she wouldn't be found as an unwed mother. The police interviewed the couple, but they didn't get anything tangible out of them and closed the case. They later reopened the case in 2003 while interviewing a woman known as M, who claimed her abusive mother bought the boy back in 1954, and she claimed her mother killed the boy in a fit of rage. Because M was not mentally stable, the police had to close the case again. Number 4, the Jeanette DePalma case. This case was silly brought to light when a dog brought home a decomposing forearm. This prompted the police to conduct a search, and a body was afterward found atop a cliff in Springfield. The body was identified as that of Jeanette DePalma, a 16-year-old girl who had been missing for 6 weeks. Rumors immediately began spreading as to what could be the cause of the death of the girl. The hill where her body was found was covered with occult symbols, and many believe her body was placed on a makeshift altar. Police and many locals blamed a coven of witches known as Satanists, who probably used DePalma as a human sacrifice. But because of flooding that affected that area, much of the case's details were since destroyed. Police were unable to determine the cause of death due to the badly decomposed body. They investigated a homeless man who was the prime suspect in the case, but they could not find any connections between the man and the apparent murder. As for the witch theory, people believe that DePalma may have angered a group of Satan-worshipping teens in her school when she was trying to evangelize to them, since she was involved with a group that reached out to drug addicts and tried to help them by guiding them to find Christ. The reverend who was in charge of the group speculated that it could be possible that she was selected as a sacrifice to the group because of this. Number 5. The Cape Intruder. Back in 2005, in the town of Cape Elizabeth, located in Maine, a little mysterious case occurred which was never solved. At night, families who slept with their doors unlocked would wake up in the morning to catch a short glimpse of a man staring right into their faces. Before they could even think about what was happening or react, the man would flee the house, leaving it just the way it was before he entered. Nothing was ever stolen and nobody was ever assaulted, injured, or killed. All this man ever took away from every house he entered was the privacy that was otherwise present before he stepped into their bedrooms to watch them sleep. Multiple people reported the case to the local police, and a rough sketch was eventually drawn and put up on the local news. The rough sketch showed a man in his early 20s, and everybody seemed to know who it was, and claimed they could identify him. The police received numerous phone calls from concerned and well-meaning citizens, all naming possible suspects. Although 2 people did name the same person, the police never had enough evidence, and they never caught the Cape Intruder. After multiple intrusions during the months of August, December, and February, the Cape Intruder never performed another break-in. Apparently, he was now satisfied with the number of times he'd gone to the bedrooms of Cape residents to watch them sleep during that period. Or he could have moved on to another town, given that people were already looking for him in the little town. But I guess we will never know. The thought that such a person once did this and some like this could still be among us is enough to send a chill down to anyone's spine. But this also serves as a reminder to always lock our door before bed.